How's it going, everyone? Mike the War Host here, and we're continuing along with Spooktober by talking about one of the original posses, now a detachment, released at the start of Warcryl's ownership of the game, the father of the Enlightened. Working with the mysterious Wonder Fuel RJ-1027, Burson Carpathian worked hand in hand with Helsinki Markov and Princess Shirazad of the Ottoman Sultanate to split the Enlightened between the Custodians and Egalitarians in Antarctica. Fleeing to the untamed American frontier with the stolen Hex Seed, he was ambushed by General Grant shortly after arriving. In the din of battle, his wife Veronica was sadly killed. Spirited away, Carpathian was brought to a small town named Payson, established by other egalitarians, where he was able to recover from the attack. Fueled now with a burning desire to use his intellect and newfound resources, Burson Carpathian strives to master resurrection in an attempt to bring his wife back to life. For reference, we will be using stat card version 3.04C and handbook version 3.04B for today's discussion. The posse bonus here encourages lots of brutes to be fielded. Every brute fire team starts the game at full size, gets a +1 grit bonus, making an already tough unit that much harder to take down. This can certainly get expensive, as a full brute fire team will cost you 20 points each. The Father of the Enlightened detachment box contains 5 models and comes in at 49 points. Burson Carpathian, Harmony Ratchet, John Younger, and 2 brutes. Burson Carpathian is your detachment commander and is a surprising force multiplier in an Enlightened list. Like all Enlightened commanders, he comes with Carpathogen to resurrect destroyed construct models, as well as Chain of Command for restoring fortune quickly. He also has the Dark Council special rule to compel nearby tainted units, and Perfect Creations gives nearby construct models a big buff to using metal. Prodigious gives him an additional bonus when focusing in action, and Shrewd Strategist lets you peek at the top of either your action or adventure deck and choose to either leave it there or discard it. Dr. Carpathian is no slouch in combat either. He comes with an Atomic Blunderbuss to light enemies on fire, an Ionic Pistol with close work that applies shock on a crit, and a Bionic Arm for melee fights. His impressive stat line also ensures he'll be able to do some serious work with any weapon he chooses. Harmony Ratchet is Dr. Carpathian's erstwhile assistant and a solid support option for any Enlightened list. She comes with Expose Their Weakness to increase the damage done by brutal attacks from nearby units, as well as the same Imperfect Creations rule for bolstering nearby construct units. Rapport gives her a free reroll if she's within 7 inches of any civilian, hand, or troops units, and Sawbones gives rerolls to grit checks, in most cases, to any friendly unit within 7 inches of her. She comes with a Mortician's Blade that has Fatal on a crit as well as a -1 piercing, but with her meager fight and grit of 4, she's meant to be kept out of the fight as much as possible, and providing rerolls and buffs to nearby units. John Younger is one of Carpathian's early successes in his resurrection technology, as well as adding some improvements. He comes with a backup pistol to get in a free shot with close work after successfully landing one, durable to shrug out to some of the piercing damage from most attacks, dying breath to get one last swing in before leaving the board, monstrous to force enemies to re-roll successful morale tests, split shot to spread his fire amongst multiple units, and fail-safe detonator to try bringing down enemy models with him. John comes armed with a pistol with close work and refined, as well as a -1 piercing bonus on a crit, some hammer hands with stun and brutal on a crit, and a simple mouse gun with close work and lethal on a crit. Both of his pistols have a 10-inch range, so John won't be reaching out and touching anyone too far away. And finally, we come to the Brute Fire Team. The support units are walking pillboxes ready to lock down firing lanes and put the hurt on anyone dumb enough to come into range. They have Durable to lessen the impact of most attacks, Lobotomized lets them re-roll failed morale checks, Monstrous forces nearby enemy units to re-roll successful morale checks, and Failsafe Detonator allows for the near ubiquitous kamikaze runs. The Brutes come equipped with Gatling guns with a 15-inch range, an ROA of 3, and Brutal. They also have Heavy Fists with Brutal and Stun on a crit. These guys are tough to bring down without some dedicated hardware. So now that you know what you get in the detachment box, what's the best way to put together a tournament-ready list? The first thing you should decide is how big you want your Father of the Enlightened detachment to actually be. Since this detachment is focused around making tougher brutes, it's not ideal to use as a primary detachment. If you're dead set on going down this road, however, then let's see what we can do. According to the Enlightened Handbook, you can only dedicate half of the units in a detachment to units with the support keyword, meaning you're limited to a maximum of 3 units of brutes in this detachment. If you max out the brute unit that comes with the posse box and add 2 more full-size units, well, you'll eat up 50 points, leaving your total at 99. If you want to stick with just a single detachment, feel free to grab any non-support units you want to jam in to fill up the remaining points. Just keep in mind that Carpathian's meager 3 fortune is going to be spread around a lot thinner than with a smaller detachment. The ideal way to utilize the Father of the Enlightened detachment, in my opinion, would be as a secondary detachment for a larger detachment or posse, preferably one with less access to ranged weaponry. If nothing in the Enlightened handbook sounds interesting, feel free to pop over to the Outlaws to see what looks fun. Personally, I would use this detachment as a fun way to add some extra range to something like a Tainted Biology posse, since that tends to lack decent ranged options. This detachment is pretty straightforward and will largely depend on what you pair it with. Keep Harmony Ratchet nearby one of the brutes for Sawbones rerolls, and Carpathian near another for Carpathian and Dark Council Compelling for free shots. As I mentioned before, this attachment is best suited to tacking onto a larger force, similar to Armored Justice for the Lawman. Well, that's going to do it for me today. Stay tuned for more Wild West Exodus, Mythos, Fog and Friction, and Dystopian Wars content in the near future, as well as some looks at Lost World Exodus in the not so near future. Maybe. At some point. Please? All right, take care, everyone.